You talk about one of the, sources of great edge, especially among some of the greatest hedge funds of all time, is an informational edge. I think a psychological edge, a behavioral edge is also incredibly important. And so I think I think we live in an age of overreaction.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tendency to overreact about everything. I mean, just look back at GameStop a couple weeks ago. It was the fucking end of the world. And it was nothing. That was a blip. Remember, people were talking about the fall of the financial system. Overreaction. By the way, it was a blip, right? It was nothing.
Exactly.
Nobody cares. Everybody was on to the next 2 days later. Now today, this morning was the end of the world. The freaking SPY finished higher today, right? Am I wrong? I mean, I don't watch every tick, but I think I did see that.
I do.
But at 9:31 this morning, it was the end of the world. The bull market was over, and they were talking about, we're going to have to do something with interest rates or monetary policy, something. I don't even know what it was, but it's all noise. We live in an age of overreaction, and that is a behavioral concept. And I'm not going to get all wordy about it, but this idea is that we have this tendency to overreact like crazy. It's 10 times worse right here. As a matter of fact, if I was trading actively right now, I would be looking to take the other side of overreaction. Like that would be my bread and butter. Like it's a very fertile period for that. Like whatever's going on that people are overreacting to, look for ways to bet against that. Remember, Robinhood was. People were saying Robinhood was done. They were going to have they were going to have a problem with their own cash position and liquidity, and their risk management was terrible. And that weekend happened, and Monday they were going to be insolvent. Oh my God! If you were lucky enough to be one of those people, one of those VCs to get to throw more money.
Oh, exactly.
Morning, you killed it.
Exactly.
And you're going to have a 5-bagger. Yeah, those guys are
bingo.
Kill it.
Yeah.
They were trading those VCs that morning when Robinhood was probably a little panicky too. Just imagine if you're in it. Just imagine that guy Vlad. He's like, fuck, I just built this incredible business and now it's crumbling. He was probably overreacting too. Mm-hmm. VCs come in. They've been through this 20 million times. Their resting heart rate is like 50-0. They're like, boop, boop.
Beautiful.
And they're like, they just write the check, and they're going to go public later this year, and it's going to be a 5-bagger for them. I want to talk about one thing that you made me think of, and I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna write about this on Sunday. Okay. I just thought about it this morning on my walk, as a matter of fact, and I wrote this down. Embracing the uncomfortable brain, right? Embracing the uncomfortable brain. So we all know that, and we live in a society right now where obesity is exploding, right? Half of the population is overweight, obese, or morbidly obese. More than half. It's not a good situation. And there's multiple factors. It's tragic. It is what it is. It increases the disease in our culture. There is a corollary to that. And this is sort of this mind-body relationship here, right? So there, being comfortable physically is a problem. When we just sit on the couch, we eat Funyuns, we watch Friends reruns, we don't do anything, that is not good, right? We know that though. Like that is kind of part of conventional wisdom. You got to get up off your butt. It's got to be uncomfortable. You got to lift heavy things. You got to move your body, run sprints, even just walking when it's cold out. Cold showers are healthy. All of these uncomfortable things are great for your body. It's the same exact thing for your brain. There's a parallel process here, and there's definitely a connection. Your brain, when your brain is comfortable, that leads also to laziness, sloth, sloppy thinking, inability to be creative. So you have to work that brain every day. And it's across multiple modes, right? It's, hey, what are the things you're reading? What are the things that you're thinking about and focusing on every day? Are these the same things that you've been doing for 30, 20, 30 years? And are you doing them the same way? That's sitting on the couch. The metaphor is sitting on the couch there. Music is one for me. Are you listening to the same music that you were listening to 25 years ago? Well, what is that doing to the grooves in your brain? You know what I mean? Like if you listen to Steely Dan, and I'm aging myself right here. I'm pinning
No,
myself.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
Dude, Gorilla, you're right there with me. But if
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
you're still listening to Steely Dan and the Grateful Dead, and you've been listening to the same 5 albums for the last 30 years, listen to them 500 million times, what is it doing to the grooves in your brain that is sort of that right brain, creative, expansive musical part that is tied? Guess what? It's tied to your visual spatial system. Music is visual spatial. It's auditory, but it's also visual spatial. You look at the notes, right? Look at GarageBand and how all those waves are doing this shit. That's literally, right? It's visual spatial. That's why people who are strong in math are strong in music, right? That goes together. It's pattern recognition and all that stuff. So, lazy body, lazy brain, same thing. So there's a parallel there. We got to work it. So you got to keep working it. It doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. Behaviorally, there is from a conditioning point of view, from how we learn and how we're trained, there's a catch-22. Because when we're young, we can get away with so much. We can not sleep. We can drink. We can party and not do anything for 2 weeks, and we don't gain any weight, and we don't get, and our brains are still like ready to go. And so when you go to college, you learn all the wrong things, and then unlearning those things is a very challenging thing. And for some people, never unlearn. Some people get stuck in that for their whole lives. They never unlearn it.
Well, let me ask you this, doctor. Since we're talking about it, how does one prevent themselves from having an overreaction? Like what are things that you say to yourself, or how do you recognize within yourself that you could be maybe a little irrational here?
There are some people watching this today who are in the wrong business because there are some people are just reactive, and there's nothing that they can. You can move. Let's say we're looking at a 10-point scale. You can change yourself psychologically. You can move from a 5 to a 7, or maybe an 8, or maybe a 9, but you can't move from a 1 to a 10. So if you are by personality, characterologically, from the time you were born, there's a stability. If you are a highly emotional, reactive person, there's not much you're going to be able to do. You don't have the raw material to be a great trader. You could move from a 2 to a 5. You could be maybe a fair trader, but you're never going to be Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? I mean, Michael Jordan was, you talk about, he was born with a very high kinesthetic intelligence, right? His movement intelligence, he was a genius, right? He was born with that. So he was born at, let's say, a 7 or an 8 or a 9, and then he worked real hard and got to 10 plus because he already had that. So there's a certain segment out there. Sorry to say this to you. The sooner you realize it, the better it's going to be for you, because you're losing and you're going to continue to. If you're highly reactive, it's going to be a long road. It's going to be hard because the market is very, very emotional, and you just can't, there's no exercises that you can do. You know what I mean? I will never be able to run a 2-hour marathon, right? 2-hour and 5-minute marathon. I just never will. Maybe I'll run a 3-hour, probably not. Maybe I'll run a 4-hour, definitely, but not a 2-hour. I just don't have that physical gift and age and everything, whatever. There's some people, that's a huge point. Now, if you're in that area where, okay, you have some gifts, you have a good visual spatial intelligence, can look at price behavior and see patterns, you're good with numbers, you're pretty calm emotionally, your resting rate is pretty chill, you don't get you don't have arguments with your girlfriend and you don't whatever, you're pretty chill, you can move that needle. So let's say you're born at a 6 or 7, you could move to a 9. Now, here's some of the things: taking care of your body, taking care of yourself, taking care of your physical self, your mental self, and your spiritual self. Huge, right? Because you get that place where those types of things make you better, make you stronger as a person. If you are very healthy, if you are lean, and you take care of yourself and you eat well and you don't drink too much and you move your body every day and you do some type of resistance, you're going to have that affects your brain, right? So that affects your ability to focus. Well, does trading take focus? A lot of it. It affects your emotional regulatory system. 1,000%, right? Is that important? 100%. Meditation is incredible. Meditation, and it doesn't have to be like, you're getting all freaking Buddha shit, right? You could just be, you could just take a walk and think about things in the morning. That's like my gig. That's where I have ideas. I'm meditating, man. I put on music and walk early in the morning, with the dog, and things fly, kind of just flow in and out of my mind. I get really relaxed. I do a little breathing. That is huge. Practice and experience. You go through something and you deal with it well, and you are rewarded for that. You are conditioning yourself. So the more times you go through something, the first time you lose money in a trade, the first times you lose money in a trade, you might lose this much money, you're on tilt, right? You do it again. So it's like practicing. Anything you practice over and over and again, just building a muscle for that. So experience is incredibly important. Also, having a strategy. Having a strategy is incredibly important. You have to have an exit anytime you get into a trade. You guys know that. Bad things happen when you don't, or when you don't follow it. One other thing: community and mentorship. Having people around you who know what they're doing, who've been there before, that you trust, that you can go to, that you can copycat, that you can learn from, that you can ask anything, who will tell you straight, even if it's uncomfortable. They'll bust your chops if they won't just shine you just because they don't want conflict. That's trust. To be able to tell somebody, hey, you fucked up right there. You got to do this different. I'm comfortable. You trust me enough that I can tell you that. I trust you enough that I can tell you that. All of those things are key. I know I just hit like 5 things. I don't even remember what I said, but I think I hit a lot of them right there.